Welcome to the Daily Commercial Forum. I am your host, Sandy Moore. 20 years ago, the Leesburg community joined together to build a playground at Rogers Park in beautiful Venetian Gardens. The huge effort created a wonderful gift for children who grew up with Kids Korner and now bring their children and families to play there. Unfortunately, time, weather, and heavy usage have significantly damaged the wood structure. Now, the community is uniting again to help rebuild Kids Korner for future generations. Our guests are Robert Sargent, Leesburg Public Information Officer, Chuck Johnson, an attorney with Seller, Sewell, Russ, Saylor, and Johnson, PA, Leesburg Commissioner Bill Polk, and Jennifer McGavero, Leesburg Assistant Director of Parks. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
What a distinguished panel we have here today.
And the host. Exactly. Don't leave the host out.
Well, thank you very much. Well, we're going to start by talking a little bit about the history of Kids Korner. Robert, can you just fill us in a little bit about?
Okay, for folks around the county who might not be real familiar, Kids Korner is a wonderful little playground for children 5 to 12 years old. It's located in Venetian Gardens here in Leesburg. And Kids Korner is part of Rogers Park, which is a larger kind of play facility. The Kids Korner playground was actually built in 1994 by a group of citizens and business owners and social organizations that got together and felt like this was a good thing to contribute to the community. So they started in 1993 actually with a lot of fundraising efforts, and after about a year they actually got ready. And so in 1994, between March 2nd and 7th, they took 5 days and dozens upon dozens upon dozens of people getting involved, coming in shifts to build within 5 days just a wonderful playground that's been here and we've enjoyed for the past 18 years.
Well, and you said that it started with a fundraising effort. Chuck, can you tell us a little bit about the original fundraising?
A couple of teachers at Leesburg High School got together and said, why is it someplace else can have a park, but our kids can't have it? They talked about it, talked to some other people. They all got together. We investigated it, found out what it would cost, and we sat together over the next year to raise the money any way they could, any way we could, to raise the money for the playground. From car washes to bake sales to charitable contributions through trust and foundations, and through the generosity of the city of Leesburg with their equipment and things of that nature. Kids Korner, the single greatest community project ever been done, became a reality, and it took about a year to raise the money.
Well, and give me an idea of who were a part of that, as far as not necessarily individual people, but you said, lots of organizations.
It started out with elementary school kids designing their playground. We sent flyers out into the schools and asked the children, design the playground that you'd like to have. We had all the banks involved. We had almost every business in town involved in some fashion. There are, and still are, charitable organizations and charitable trusts and foundations set up to help projects like this. And it started just quite simply through this grassroots effort of local folks who think Leesburg was and still is a great place to live.
Well, and it was my understanding that pretty much any organization that was anything at the time in some way contributed.
Exactly, yeah. And that's how I got involved this time around. I'm on the commission now. And Jay Evans, the city manager, someone brought up that we're going to have to spend $200,000 to rebuild Kids Korner. It was getting dilapidated and everything. I said, wait a minute, whoa. We did this as a community project before, and this is everyone's park. It's not just the city of Leesburg. So that's when I brought up to Jay that we ought to try to do a fundraiser. So they got with Jennifer, the recreation department, everybody, and started looking into different plans that they have out now. One of the things that we did before that we're doing now is had community meetings, and so we brought that up to have meetings, and Robert's been in charge of that, done a lot of nice PowerPoints and everything, and Chuck's the head honcho there and controlling.
The voice.
That's one title I've not heard you have before.
He's got a lot of titles. So.
That's a new one.
That's another whole show, though. That could take a long time. Yeah.
But anyway, it's a community project for everyone in the city of Leesburg and even outside the city of Leesburg, because when there's a lot of retirement parks around here, and their grandkids come down to visit, and they want to show them Leesburg, and And they want a nice place to go. So, you know, that has been a nice place to go. If you go down there any day, there's just just all kind of various people down there, from retirement communities that bring the elderly people down there just to walk around and look and have a picnic. There are tables and chairs for that. And so it's just a big community project that I think we are going to enjoy kicking off throughout this year.
Well, and one of the things that was done right, I think, the first time was how not just involved in people giving money, but there were so many people that came and built that park.
Yes, it was built by the people.
Right.
I mean, it was built by the people with the nails and the hammers and the saws that they brought.
Right.
One of the biggest jobs there was coordinating the tool bin, where all the tools had to be checked in and then checked back out to the workers. We had construction companies who brought crews down there and worked through the days, and we had individuals who couldn't do anything but babysit. Kids Corner had every aspect of this project down cold. We served lunch, we had the daycare, we had the construction people. We had Mr. and Mrs. Hardaway, who were kind of like the project chair. They took it upon themselves when nobody else would, when it was failing, when the project wasn't going forward fast enough, because nobody would step up and say, I'll take on this challenge. They did. And through their efforts of just leadership, basic, hometown, everyday, follow me folks.
Well, and it became a source of pride, because I know I was in college at the time, and I remember my parents both were involved in volunteering to help build it. I don't know if they did anything before that, but I remember them calling and telling me about it. I remember the pictures, all of those kind of things. And now, of course, my dad, as soon as I had kids, what was one of the first things he couldn't wait to do was to take them down to Kids Corner.
Yeah.
And he absolutely did. And my kids grew up going there with my dad.
And
So that was
the community involvement it extends beyond that, not just coming to Kids Corner, but because they had such a big part in developing it and building it. There's been a lot of oversight by the public. It's not just the city's park, it's all of our park. And that really helps from a maintenance standpoint, where everybody's eyes are on it. So whenever anything is going on down there, if there's some vandalism, if there's trash, you know, our phone's ringing, hey, you know, you got to get down there. And we really appreciate that buy-in from the community.
And shouldn't that be how our city is anyway?
Yeah.
Well, Jennifer, since we're talking about that, tell us a little bit about, you know, why do we need to, what's the condition now of the park? I mean, why, because I know if you just drive by, it still looks like it's kind of a nice park, but why does it need to be refurbished?
The needs of the community have
fixed?
changed from the 90s to now, and unfortunately, we have a lot more issues with kidnappings. And one of the biggest problems with that park is lines of sight. If you're out there with your child, all the great little towers that make these great little hidey holes for the kids to get in and explore and use creative play, unfortunately, there's a lot of sight hazards if you're out there with your child.
It scares you as a parent.
It does.
Right.
It really does. And, you know, from talking to people out at the playground, we get a lot of parents and grandparents, and we also get a lot of daycares out there with their kids. That's their biggest concern, is it's hard to stand on one end of the park and keep an eye on multiple children. Unless you're following them around or counting on other parents to keep an eye on other aspects. So that's one of the biggest issues, is just that line of sight, opening it up so that you can see where your kids are, your kids can see you. Unfortunately, those same issues are part of a vandalism issue. Because you don't have those lines of sight, it's really hard to have the patrols go by and see if anybody's in there up to no good. You open up that line of sight, it's much easier for the community going by, as well as our police officers, to keep an eye and make sure nothing's going on.
We also have some ADA issues now, too, that we
Definitely.
didn't have in the past, that, you know, every child should have a chance to go to the park, and so we're going to try to make this ADA compliant, or part of the park ADA compliant, where, you know, every child that wants to go there can go there, and more accessible to everyone that's in the community.
And it's 18 years old. It's just time for it to be refreshed. It's time for us and our community to come back together and do it one more time.
So now you mentioned that we've already had, I know, at least one public meeting.
Yeah, we had two.
Two.
Oh, we've had
meetings.
two. I missed the second one.
I did too.
Somehow I missed the second one. But anyway, so tell me, what's the process? What are we doing? Chuck?
Right now, we're in the process of forming the committees. And actually, maybe even back up one step forward, we're creating a brand new charitable organization to oversee this project. It'll, in essence, its fictitious name will be Kids Corner 13, recognized by the IRS as a charitable organization so that we can get tax-free money from the organization. At the meetings, we're in the process of creating committees, everything from the Public Relations Committee to the Volunteer Committee to the Child Care Committee. We'll probably have 13 or 14 committees when we're done. Those committee chairs will sit on the board of directors of the charitable organization, and we'll then begin the process of the fundraising, the community awareness. We're putting together a team. And if you're a charitable organization and you want us to speak at your event, here we are. All you got to do is ask. We're ready to come to your organization and speak about Kids Corner 13 and about why you should be involved in this project.
Now, what if somebody, what I found was very interesting, the very first meeting that I went to was that there was literally, if you had a talent, somewhere you could fit in. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about, and you kind of mentioned some of them, I know you did public relations, but there was a design committee. What were some of the other committees so that if somebody's watching this and they think, I want to get involved, what can I do?
We have a design committee, we have a construction committee, we have a daycare committee, we have a
fundraising committee.
Fundraising committee, a
Food committee.
Food committee, a public relations committee.
Are you overseeing that?
No.
No?
A public relations committee. A committee, it takes a community to build a playground. And so if you have a talent, and if your talent's simply talking, then we need you.
But as Chuck mentioned before, we have childcare. If a young family wants to come in and they want to do part of the construction or part of the serving meals or something, we'll have people that are there to take care of their young children while they're hammering or screwing or nailing or whatever they're doing to get this thing built. So, we're trying to cover all the aspects of anything that might possibly happen. Like before, Chuck said we serve lunch. We also serve breakfast. We had donuts and orange juice, and Marcus Lawrence, who's not with us anymore, he actually brought lemons. He brought lemons down there and made homemade lemonade, and it's just a really neat thing to get involved in for the whole community. And somebody might take off a half a day of work to come down and work, in the morning and then go to work in the afternoon or so. That's the way it worked before, and I hope it works this way now because everybody can be involved in this thing without a doubt.
Well, and we have obviously a long way to go before we get there because we have to raise all the money. But also, we mentioned the design committee. What are some of the thoughts there? And I know that it's going to be up to the committee, but I was really amazed at the possibilities, I guess.
One of the first things that we're doing, we have an evaluation committee that we're evaluating our current park. We've talked to the original architect. The two individuals on the committee with myself are waiting to meet with them. Our park may not be in as bad a shape as we think it is. We need to know, can we salvage part of it, or do we need to simply take it down into the ground and rebuild it? That's our first step. We're going to be real thrifty with our money. Mm-hmm. And if we can build the playground that our kids want and need with access and line of sight and openness, and so that it is available for all, we're going to rebuild it rather than tear it down and build it again. But we're unsure yet. But that's the important committee right now too.
Now, you were talking about making it more ADA accessible. What does that look like? Jennifer, tell me a little bit.
A lot of your ADA accessibility is the components of the park. We have minimum requirements we would have to meet because it would be a new or refurbished playground, and we're hoping to exceed those requirements. Your elevated decks have to be 50% ADA compliant, meaning you've got a deck where a child on a wheelchair can get on, or you have ramps that allow wheelchairs to be able to get up. But also there's ground components to ADA accessibility. Having the correct surfacing where wheelchairs can go right up to the elements. A lot of times with ADA accessibility, it's just having them being out there with everybody else. With the current construction of the playground, with the mulch that we have there, you really can't get a wheelchair close enough, or even a child on crutches close enough to the equipment to feel like they're a part of children at play. But with the right surfacing and then some elements there at ground level that they can wheel up to or walk up to, that's all it takes for them to be included.
Well, and it was interesting because I think we did a show not too long ago about making parks accessible, but being ADA accessible also allows their parents or grandparents that maybe are in a wheelchair, they can then be a part of that play with their kids
like I said, there's older people, like if the grandkids come down to visit Grandma and Grandpa down here in Leesburg, Florida, the grandmother and grandfather might not be as accessible as the parents were
Right.
to get around this park also. So, you know, you got the kids and the older people that might need the ADA accessible stuff too. So, you know, it's a combination of a lot of things. And with the rule changes and the laws that we have now, we have to do that. And it makes good sense to do that. And not all of our parking, we talked about this, you know, we can do a part of the park that is like totally ADA for people, and then some of it won't be exactly ADA on this side. So
Yeah, it's all about percentages of the
right.
equipment.
You have to have a certain percentage of ADA to meet the compliance, but you know, if you try to mix it in, sometimes that might not work. It might be part ADA and then it blends into the other part.
Well, and just like technology and anything that we've done, we've come a long way,
Yes.
I'm sure, in playground
Oh, yeah.
and what we can do. What are some other fun things that maybe we can incorporate in this that we weren't able to? That was part of the thing that excited me. I'm looking at this going, man, that looks like fun.
Yeah,
some of the different
slides-
possibilities, absolutely. So
There's
tell us a little.
some great playground equipment out there that are standalone units. It used to be all playgrounds had the raised decking, and any of the components of the playground came off of that. And it was a lot more creative play, you know, situational. They were in a rocket ship or a boat. Now with the emphasis with childhood obesity, it's a lot more strength and active play, active recreating. So a lot more of these components, you've got to engage them to where they feel like they're having fun, but they're utilizing the different components of their body, their core strength, their legs, their arms, but they're having a great time doing it, not realizing that they're getting a workout at the same time. And that's where some of those great features, the zip line, you know, you're hanging on to that as you're zipping from point A to point B. It feels like a ride, but you're using your core and your upper body.
So they don't even realize that
Exactly.
they're exercising and they're having such a great time out there. I would much rather do that than
Just jog.
just run. And who wants to do that? Give me a ball or something. So what is the next step then? I mean, you know, we've had some of the community meetings. You mentioned, you know, trying to get other organizations. What else?
I think the next thing that we're going to do is meet a couple more times, do shows like this, and enlist the public support, and invite them to join us. Get out of their house, get off the sidelines, do something for your community, and be a part of this thing. 18 years later, it's still the best week I can remember working with the city. It's worthwhile. This is a worthwhile project. Come to our meetings. We're going to post them. We're going to have a website. But that's the greatest thing we need now. We need volunteers. I don't need your money yet, but I need your help. I need you to participate. Your hours and your time that you don't have, that need to be someplace else, we want you to spend them with us. We want you to volunteer.
And one thing we want to make sure that, you know, people do not have to just be from the city of Leesburg, because people come from Wildwood and Okahumpka and all these outer lying areas around the city of Leesburg that, you know, are not actually in the city of Leesburg, but they all use the park, and we want them to be part of it too. I mean, there's open avenues for anybody in the area that would have a use for this park. And, you know, another time they use it a lot is when the fireworks are going off at 4th of July. The place is jam-packed with people because they take their kids down there to play before the fireworks and spend all day in that Venetian Gardens area. So, you know, that's people from Wildwood, everywhere. You know,
Right.
This is a really community park for everyone in the immediate area. So we want everybody in the area to be involved in it. You don't just have to sign up because you live in Leesburg. You can live outside of the city of Leesburg.
Yeah, I could add on to what Bill said, because he's talking about what is core to this is that it's a community project that builds community, and it's a great project to kind of bring our community together. And so far the energy has been really great. I mean, everybody is just jumping to the line when they hear about this. They're like right on with it. We're seeing a lot of residents, social organizations that we have out there. We're getting companies jumping in, like we have Technicuff is a local company, jumped quite in and helped out quite a bit. We have A+ Printing came in. We have other businesses coming into the fold to be part of this. So everywhere we've come to this and start talking with the 2 meetings that we've had and getting our emails that we have out on this, it's just generated a lot of excitement from people that remember very fondly the great input they had on the first project, and I remember just what the great camaraderie and the spirit of organization that it's really generated a lot of excitement this time around as well.
Well, you know, it's interesting when you were talking about that, and every time anybody talks about this park and how it was built, it brings me to a thought like of a barn raising.
Yep.
You know, in
Yes.
the old,
Exactly.
you know, old time community, you're a small town gathering together, and it's not about any one organization or one person, but everybody coming together for the greater good.
For the greater good.
When we did the other park, it was daylight to dark, and when we got finished with it, everybody was happy we were finished, but everybody's like, well, what are we going to do next week? You know, because there was so much excitement involved in it that, you know, people just wanted to keep going and do something else, and, you know, it just brought everyone together in the community.
It's the second generation now, and you touched on it a while ago. You were a child when it was built. But now
College
College. She
student.
said college now.
but now your kids
I'll
are.
take it as a
we
child.
have a second generation now where the kids who the
Absolutely.
playground first played on are now the moms and dads of the kids who are playing on it now.
That's right.
And it's that group we want to touch. We want them to experience that joy of what it was really like to leave it better than you found it, and for a place for the kids. You can judge a community by how it treats its kids. And right now, Leesburg's treating them pretty good.
Well, you know, and it's exciting that you say that too, because I went home from that meeting and I talked to my kids about it. And I said, you know, I told them what we were doing, and they were so excited. And they both were like, "Oh, I want to help. What can I do?" And you know, my oldest and I have signed up to be on the PR. So if we want to go and speak together, he's 11, but you know, he's pretty good. But that was something that it touched them too. You know, because they have memories, of course, of them and their grandparents. Now, I know you mentioned Technicup, and they made they had some shirts printed.
Yep, they were one
Jennifer,
of the
did you
first
want to talk a little bit about that?
I love these shirts.
Try it on.
So tell us about the shirts. I mean, because you're selling them, right? Also.
Yes, we are. We're selling them out of the Marina location right in Venetian Gardens. $20 a shirt, and all the proceeds go towards helping make this happen.
And just so we can get everybody to the right place, we are encouraging folks to get involved, primarily just get involved, but also with fundraising. If you're interested in buying a shirt at this early stage, you can contact Jennifer at 728-9870. That's area code 352-728-9870 is the phone number to purchase a T-shirt. If you're interested in getting involved, please contact me at the city of Leesburg at 352-728-9721.
Is that your direct number?
That's my direct line. It's right to my desk. Folks should call me
And
if
his
they
cell phone number is, no, I'm just kidding.
Exactly. But they should call me if they want to get involved. But if you want to pick up one of these great T-shirts, please call again Jennifer at 352-728-9870.
And at this point, we're just looking for anybody who can be a part of this or would like to be a part of this. If you want more information, go
We're
ahead.
looking for everybody to be a part of it.
Everybody.
Stop us in the restaurants. You see us in downtown, stop and talk about it. We'll talk to you about it. But come to the meeting, and wherever you can find it, Kids Corner 13 is going to be a success. It's going to happen. Newspaper called me the other day and said, well, how do you know this is going to happen? Because it's ours. It's our community. We're going to make this happen, folks. And it's, you know, we wouldn't contemplate otherwise.
And you don't want to be left out of this.
No, you
I don't
don't.
think so.
No, at least
Everybody
give your input. Have a say. I mean, get involved. Maybe you can't participate with the building, but come to the meetings and help us with your direction.
Well, and I know one of the things that I was, initially I went, oh, but it's so pretty with the wood, and I know that that's not going to be how it is, but I was very encouraged by looking at some of the designs that will not make it look like a plastic
No.
playground necessarily. It really, there's so many opportunities to make it very unique to Leesburg.
Look natural mostly is what we want to try
But
to
we
do.
haven't given up on the wood. That's why the architect's coming back to look at it and see what's salvageable. Can we expand it?
Some
Can we open up?
elements.
Can we take part of it apart? Can we move some things around? Can we add to it? What is it can we do? Well, that's the stage we're in. And so the input we have on the design from anybody, hey, I think this would look good. We'd love to have that.
And it's exciting when you can look at the possibilities of what it can be, because then it, you know, just spurs your imagination
Just
into
to your
other.
imagination.
I mean, we're a lakefront city. Let's get some, you know, fish out there.
No, you can. You can theme it any way you want. If we wanted to go with the citrus industry or fishing, all the great things that make Leesburg such a great place, you can theme these playgrounds and just make them really fun. You know, there are some challenges with a playground that's a little bit older, like this one, because of the damage that's taken over the years. But like Chuck said, you can actually rebuild it in different ways if you wanted to use the original materials. Newer materials have plastic and steel to it, but still it's going to look very, hopefully as the committee moves forward with this, it'll look very natural, as Bill said. Want something that looks a lot of fun, fits well within the scenery with a nice tree setting and stuff like that, but there are so many varieties of what you can do with this. It's very exciting.
Well, and I just want to say, you know, one of the great things about this is it's not necessarily about one person, and it really is about the community. But it does take people to step up, and we appreciate all of you and stepping up and really making this happen and inspiring us to get involved.
And also, when people were buying the T-shirts, buy one for your kids too, because when we built the thing, everybody had their shirts on, from the mom to the kid, and it all looks really good. You know, I mean, everybody's out there having a good
Looks
time.
good for the pictures
Looks
later,
good for
too.
the pictures later,
Yes.
and you get some good pictures of your kids. And
You say that, but the albums that exist of the week of build, to go back and look at those brings tears to your eyes.
Well, it's kind of interesting in the photo albums actually seeing what you guys looked like in 1994. And time
Another
has
fact,
changed.
right? Yeah.
No.
He could go there. He could go there. So.
No, we're all a little bit older.
And we're going to have great fundraisers. One of the fundraisers we're going to have for this is we're going to have a 5K run down around Venetian Gardens.
Venetian Gardens, yep.
I haven't told you how grateful I am for you for scheduling it, have I?
And that's
Yeah,
going to
Robert
be
knows
about
about that.
when?
Well, thank you very much for being here today and sharing about the park, and
Thank you.
Thank you,
everybody get
Sandy.
involved.
Thanks, Miss Sandy.
thank you for your help.